talking about salvation. I think there's a great deal of truth in the statement that either you're saved or you ain't. And the best thing to do about it is find out which and stick to it. What counts most is personal satisfaction. At least most people. God knows you'll never get that by straining and struggling for something which you're just not cut out for. Now, I passed through a period of my life in which I struggled. One evening while Gypsy Smith was preaching around this section, I dropped in there and heard this wonderful sermon on spiritual struggle. Started me thinking about the lustful body and how I ought to put up a struggle against it. And the struggle I did for quite a while after that. Chances are it might have still been going on if Lot hadn't brought that woman back with him from Memphis. Showed me just how useless the whole thing was, as far as I personally was concerned anyhow. Now, Lot came home from Memphis one Saturday morning last summer and brought this woman back with him. I was working out in the south field when I seen this Chevy come turning in off the highway onto the drive. I went to the house to meet him. Lot was drunk. "This is my wife," he said. "Her name is Myrtle." I didn't say a word to him. I just stood and looked her over. She had on a two-piece thing, the skirt part wide and the top of it blue polka-dotted, hung on kind of crooked, showed part of her tits. Biggest I'd ever seen on a young woman's body. "Well," she said, "hello, brother." Made like she would kiss me, but I turned away in disgust because I wanted her to know how I felt about it. It's a real bitch trick marrying a dying man, which she must have known Lot was. Lot was a TB case. And he had it so bad, they had to let the air out of one of his lungs back in Memphis. I guess she must have known what the setup was. The place was Lot's and not mine, even though I did all the work on it. After Dad died and I learned how I'd been fucked, I quit the place and went to Meridian to work in the stave mill there. But I got these pitiful letters from Lot saying, "Please come back," and I did, with the understanding that when Lot died, which is bound to be pretty soon, the place would be mine. Well, I thought to myself after meeting this woman, the sensible thing to do is just lay low, see how things work out. So I went back to the field and continued my spraying. I didn't come in for supper. Went to the Crossroads Inn to drink me some beer. Must have been about 10:30 when I come back to the house. Lamp was on in the kitchen. She was in there heating up something or other on the stove. I didn't light the lead on. I even noticed her presence. I walked right past her and on up to the attic. I thought things over, but I didn't decide nothing yet. Along toward morning, I started to hear some noise. Went downstairs barefoot. Bedroom door was open, and they was in there panting like two hound dogs. Damn. I went outside around the fields till it was sunup, and then I went back to the house. The black girl, Clara, was there to fix breakfast, and after a while, the woman came into the kitchen. She had on a light blue satin kimono, but she didn't bother to fasten around her even. Now, Clara kept looking at me and giggling when she set my plate down, and she said, "What are you looking at?" I said, "Nothing much." And she let out a laugh like a horse. I could blame her. Me saying nothing much about them two huge knockers. When breakfast was over, I called Lot out on the porch for a little talk. "Now look here," I said. I overheard you last night in the room with that woman. How long you think you'll last in your condition? Inside of a month, that lovely Miss Myrtle will fuck the last breath from your body and go on back to the Memphis cat house. You must have got her out all fresh as a daisy. Well, that speech of mine made him sore, and he acted like he was going to take a sock at me, but I got mine in first. I knocked him back off the steps. Then she come out, she called me a dirty prick and lots of other nice things like that, and then she started crying. You don't understand, she bawled. I love him and he loves me. I laughed in her face. Last winter, I told her, he took the sheets himself. What do you mean, she asked me. Ask what, I told her. Then I walked off and let him chew that over. Ha! I went off laughing. The sun was up good then and hot as blazes. I went out to it and took a pretty good drink. It made me drunk right off. I drunk a pretty good deal the night before. The ground kept tilting up and down like a steamboat. When it was dark, I went up to the house. The lights was turned out, so I turned on a lamp in the kitchen and warmed up supper. There was some coffee left in the pot on the stove. I drunk it black, against my better judgment. Keeps me from sleeping in summer, especially when I'm horny from not getting much, and been 6 weeks since I laid a woman. I thought to myself, I'm 25 and strong. Damn, I gotta quit fooling around and get me a girl to go steady with. The air in the kitchen was hot and it seemed to be humming. I guess my blood was kind of overheated. My hand fell down in my lap between my legs. My head was tired, and almost before I knew what I was doing, I had it out and started playing with it. Oh, I don't want that. I don't want that, I said. So I got up quick and went around to the big rain barrel out back, and I'd thrown water on my face and over my body. But the water only seemed to make it stiffer. Showed no signs of going back down, either. 2 hands barely covered it. So I sat down there beside the rain barrel and jerked my Peter. Moon was out, and white as a blonde girl's head. There was no wind. I looked upstairs. The lamp was on in their bedroom. I listened a while, and I could hear them grunting like a pair of pigs in the sty. Yeah, they was at it again. I thought of her legs, soft as silk without a dark hair on them, and her titties, the biggest I'd ever seen on a young woman's body, and of her belly, round and bulging out. And it sure would be good to press up against it or get her body turned over and up on the knees a little and then climb on and stick it up and under. Good, good, good. It's the best thing in the world, that burning sensation. And then the running over, the sweet relaxing and letting go shot off inside her, leaving you weak and ready for sleep. Yeah. There's nothing like it in all the world. Nothing able to compare with it even. Just that thing. And nothing more is perfect. The rest is shit. All the rest is nothing hardly but shit. But that thing's good. And if you never had nothing else but that, no money, no property, no success in the world, but still that would still make it worth living for you. Yeah, you could come home to a house with a tin roof on it and blaze in the heat and look for water, not find a drop to drink. And look for food and not find a single crumb in it. But if on the bed you had a naked woman, maybe not even terribly young or good looking, she looked up and said, "I want it, Daddy." Why, then I say you got a square deal out of life, and anybody that don't think so just ain't fucked the right woman. But that sort of thinking was doing me no good at all. So I went back to the kitchen and filled and lit my pipe. I looked at the sink with the dishes all piled up in it. You know, a lot of improvement this Myrtle had made on the place. But then she wasn't a woman. A woman's a woman, but a cunt is a cunt. And that's what this Myrtle was. You know, I could use on, there wasn't a doubt about that, but if I brought home one to live with, by God, it would have to be one that I was able to feel a little respect for. I went to the screen door to pee. I had to wait several minutes before I could. A long way off, I heard a hound dog baying. It sounded sad. In spite of myself, I went back to my old train of thoughts. It just seemed like my mind was set on the subject. Nothing would stop it. It's like the preacher says, the gates of soul has got to close on the body. Keep the body out, or the body will break them down and overrun the soul and everything else decent in you. The fact of the matter is, though, I never did seem to have any gates to close. No, I was made without them. Some people are, I guess. I'd say to myself, God, this sort of thing is dirty. And I remember what the preacher had said about closing the gates on the soul, and struggling. And I'd reach for the gates to close them and find I hadn't a thing to catch a hold of. I guess my trouble was partly a lack of schooling. Never think of anything much to do but drinking and screwing and doing my damnedest to make something out of the place, but not having much luck at it. I guess if a fellow could pick up a book at night, that ought to make a great deal of difference in him. I like to go into town and look at a movie or a carnival show, but only ever so often. Looking at them screen stars don't close the gates on the body. I don't ever think that it does. There's nothing makes a fellow quite so horny as sitting there in the dark and looking at them beautiful actresses. You come back out and there ain't 1 inch of the soul that ain't overrun by the longings of the body. Well, I was still in the kitchen while the night wore away, but I had a feeling that something was going to happen before the night ended, and I was not mistaken.